TGIF, good people, happy Friday. Welcome to WWT Live. There's an awful lot to talk about, including the latest with the king and queen of the ring, and Asuka is out here making the people cry. We'll get into all of that and more today on WWT Live.
This is the Draw the Death Machine, Sammy Callahan, and you are watching, you are listening, and you are supporting Women's Wrestling Talk. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, and welcome to the Friday edition of WWT Live as part of Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet. I am your professor, GB, Teflon G, whatever it is you decide to call me. Just don't call me bleach, blonde, bad built, butch, or body, and I will be just fine. We have a jam-packed show happening for you, as there are a lot. And I do mean a lot of things to talk about, as there are on a Friday. We'll get into King and Queen of the Ring and all of the things, but I'm not alone. No. She is back right ahead of her Honey Pot predictions and her SmackDown watch along. Wrestling with Honey is in the building. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Professor? Happy Friday. What's up, everybody in the chat?
Happy Friday to you. Oh, it is good to see you. Have you had a good week? I feel like I didn't see you Wednesday.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm used to seeing you like regularly. So how are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good. Just, I've been a little busy outside of the home base and had to touch upon some things, handling some business, keeping myself a busy bee as usual.
Of course.
But everything's great. It's been a pretty busy week. Friday's here fast, and I love it. Ready to do this watch along. Ready to talk some wrestling. I can't wait.
Absolutely. And of course, we are joined by one of the latest additions to the team. But boy, is he a lot of fun to have hanging out with us. Will Farrow, the Farrow man, is in the building. How are you, sir?
As you can see, I got my shades on because I'm hungover from all this wrestling that's been dropping this week. I'm tired. I'm tired. They did. Before I got the itis from all this wrestling that's been dropping, all this controversy.
There's been a lot. There's been a lot. It's good to see you, man. How's your Friday?
It's going good. I'm very productive. I was shout out to TK for hitting me up, seeing if I could get on. Always glad to be here. This my little breakaway from all of the hecticness to be able to come talk wrestling with some tremendous people and a fantastic audience. So glad to be here.
Awesome. It is great to have you. Got to shout out everybody hanging in the chat. Eric is with us. Jeffrey is with us. Good to see you. Matt, of course, hanging out with us. Dylan is a trooper because Dylan joined us for the Ring of Honor post show where it was 12:30 in the morning. And now it's like 6 or 7 in the morning, and he's hanging with us. So, Dylan, thank you so much. You are indeed that guy. Special little nobodies. Good to have you with us. Jeffrey saying Pharaoh looking like an Eskimo. Wow.
My hair marinating. So, you know, Gerard.
I know.
Bonnet is on, but you can't be on.
Yes.
So you know how this goes.
I totally know. Know. We love to see it. Well, we're going to kind of start similar to how we ended on Wednesday. There's been a lot of conversation about Tiffany Stratton and Bianca Belair, and I'm actually kind of amazed at how much this has taken up the news over the last 48 hours. So, of course, we ended the show Wednesday with some news about Tiffany Stratton, but before we get to that, we got somebody special in the building who you guys haven't seen all week, but she is here. The boss lady is in the building. TK, how are you?
I'm here every Friday. Y'all acting as if like I don't pull up. Like,
no, I just said all week. They haven't seen you all week.
I haven't seen none of y'all all week. I missed all.
I saw you on Wednesday.
I know, but it was like here today, gone tomorrow. It happened so fast. It's been that busy of a week.
Yes,
where
it
it's
has.
like I felt like I haven't seen y'all in a minute.
Oh my goodness. All right, y'all. Continue.
Well,
My bad.
I'm saying you got the red drink in the cup. Dare we ask
Oh.
what drink you are sipping? I mean, it's
It's
been that kind of
cranberry.
week.
It's cranberry and watermelon. It has been that kind of week, but I have too much to do this weekend. So unfortunately it's gonna be a non-drinking weekend.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
next weekend.
Well, fair enough. Maybe next weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend, so start to the summer. It sounds like a rad opportunity for you. But Tiffany Stratton, she has been in the news quite a bit. When we kind of were ending things on Wednesday, she was the topic of conversation. And a lot of the question on Wednesday would be, what, if any, kind of repercussions would there be for her with this upcoming match that she has scheduled for tonight in the quarterfinals against Bianca Belair? Well, kind of the way the news cycle is gone. Yesterday, plenty, there it is. Plenty of people thought that perhaps Tiffany was being punished because they said that her match was not being promoted on the front page of WWE.com as the other matches scheduled for SmackDown were. Little did they know, had they clicked the preview link, they would have seen that this match was indeed included in the preview for tonight. So today, everybody's been very clear about the fact that Tiffany Stratton has no heat on her from what happened. She is scheduled to be in this match. But then there is another rumor now floating around today, and that rumor is the potential of Bianca Belair being with child. Now, I'm curious, do you all think that the EST, I already have my opinions on this, but I'll leave this out there. With all of this that's swirling about this match tonight, what are your thoughts? What's going to happen here? And what are your thoughts about all that's swirling around both Tiffany and the EST?
I feel like if she is, then like let her make the announcement. I understand why, and it's not just wrestling. It's everyone, and I get the endorphins you get if you know something before anything else pops off. But something like this, hypothetically, if it is her first child, like let her do it on her own terms instead of doing this, weird type of, wrestling math to equate to what you want it to be. And trust me, I'm guilty of that too. However, I don't put it on Twitter. And you can do what you want to do in life, but I feel like I think we're kind of getting overboard with everything. Like, we're predicting people's injuries or when they're coming back or when they're doing this and when nobody, both parties or all three parties involved hadn't made an announcement. So, if she is, great. I hope she does it on her own terms. If she's not, like, through her, through the show that they had been talking about pregnancy and wanting to get pregnant and all this other stuff. And, making that decision and all this other stuff is a very, it's not an easy decision, right? So there's just a lot of things personally that she probably, them and the family's really going through, and doesn't need to be reminded that like, oh yeah, I need to get pregnant as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's people don't care, but it's one of those things where I see this and I'm just like, okay, well, she is, then great. If not, then great. Like whatever works for you. But the overboardness and how it's become a story and, we're doing this, this ratchet math to get to where you want to be is just, sometimes it's a bit much.
Ratchet math. I want to include that phrase in something. That's really cool. Boza, I would recommend that those who missed Wednesday's podcast go back and watch it. Professor led a great discussion on this. Thank you, sir. It was a lot of fun. And of course, they were all asking while we were talking how much the drink actually cost. And the speculation about your drink is great. 35, 40, 50, even $60.
At house. It's just or is it Ocean
$3.49. This $3.49 feels like a Price is Right moment, like it just feels really cool.
Some Price is Right supermarket sweep something.
Yeah, no
exactly.
no
Exactly. Let's see. Boza says, all because Tez changed his bio on Instagram from father of 2 to father of 3. It is pretty wild to see. Again, just the smallest things that people will grab. Will, man, what are your thoughts on what could happen here tonight with Tiffany and Bianca, given all that's happened in the last 48 hours?
Well, if they still promoting her and allowing it to go and everything, man, I'm still sticking with what I believe is my choice, man. It's Tiffy time. All right. It's Queen Tiffy time. And that's who, that's who I've been riding with. And now that I've seen like how the bracket is gone, this is how I see it playing out of her still going all the way to the top. She's gonna beat Bianca, and then Jade is gonna beat Nia. And because Tiffany and Nia are friends, that's what's going to start the Nia and Jade beef, because she's going to come interfere so Tiffany can go all the way at King and Queen of the Ring. And so if Bianca is pregnant, then that leaves her with something to be able to do, but then also to help up this superpower tag team that's going to be Bianca, Jade, and then versus potentially Nia and what's up? What is her name? The Scottish girl with Chelsea Green.
Oh,
Piper Niven.
Piper Niven. Yeah, they hinted at that, and I feel like it might happen because I think it's time for Chelsea to go out on her own. Like, it's cool that she's with Piper, but her personality has been standing out on her own. So that's what I'm just kind of seeing with this story weaving. And it seems like since they're not, like, she's not facing any backlash from that, hopefully she's learned her lesson. And to be a little more self-conscious when it comes to her post and what she does. Hey, Tiffy's going to the top.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a question, Will. So are you like, because we have a mayor, he's the mayor of several cities. So are you like the mayor of Strattonland, or like what's?
I'd like to say I'm a councilman.
Yes.
I say councilman.
Yes.
That's
This is what we love to see.
Yeah.
This is what we love to see.
Okay.
Councilman Pharaoh. That has a good ring to it.
Appreciate that. Yes, it does.
Councilman Pharaoh. I like it. I like it. So let's see. Jeffrey asks, if Bianca is pregnant, what does that do to the tag team championships? Well, let me just say this. Okay. So I don't know where how familiar everyone is when it comes to, pregnancies and all of those kinds of things. But, the way a pregnancy, in terms of people being able to recognize it and announce it, by the time you realize you're pregnant, you are not 1 week pregnant. Like, no one ever finds out, hey, I'm 3 days pregnant. Like, it doesn't happen that way. So her wrestling last week, if she pops up pregnant this week, she was pregnant last week. So WWE is very, very sensitive about pregnancies and things like that. And there's no way they are going to be aware that you are pregnant and allow you to get in that ring. And so so could she be pregnant? Anything's possible. But I feel like this, if she were, they would not have promoted that match today. If you just look at what happened just a couple of weeks ago with Rhea, when the rumors were going around about her being injured and the like, when they promoted her as saying Rhea Ripley's going to kick off the show.
Yeah.
So you knew there was going to be an announcement or an addressing of that. So I think, we just kind of have to watch how things have been going to be able to see that. And again, I don't think they would be promoting this match if she were pregnant. But that's just, me reading the tea leaves. Honey, what are your thoughts on what's going to happen here tonight with Tiffany and Bianca?
Honestly, if anybody saw my predictions, I honestly am not going with Tiffany Stratton to proceed further in the Queen of the Ring tournament. Unfortunately, I'm on the opposite side of the fence of our councilman here. I believe
I'm loving this.
I believe, honestly, the EST has we always known that she's had a cleanliness to her. As far as the speculation of what's going on with her personally, if it's true, like like Boss Lady said, if it's true, okay. If it's not true, okay. But I just feel like we need to focus on the wrestling part. And honestly, Bianca has my vote going all the way, not all the way for the SmackDown side, but I definitely could definitely see her advancing further with Tiffany. As far as Nia Jackson, Jade Cargill, I don't know. I keep saying it, and I said it last week. I'm gonna say it this week. Queen Nia has quite the ring to it, and I can't think of anyone better on the side of SmackDown to win all the way, and honestly, to annoy the hell out of a lot of people who are going to be upset seeing her crowned queen. And Tribal Queen, maybe. I digress.
It could happen. It could happen.
But yeah, EST I think is the route. I think I think Nia's gonna get her comeuppance on Jade from the Rumble, because she still needs to, she has a receipt to give, and she's been on a roll. So I think it's gonna be Nia and EST for the final for SmackDown.
Well, we will certainly know for sure in just a couple of hours. So make sure you guys are checking it out on SmackDown in terms of seeing what will happen there. So, in line with some of the things that are happening with women and in the WWE, a name we haven't heard an awful lot because she has herself dealt with pregnancy and a successful pregnancy is, of course, Carmella. We all followed the story of some pregnancy challenges that she had and then being able to finally have her baby. And there are those who will ask the question, where is Carmella? Will we see her back in a ring at all? She has been away from the spotlight since March of last year. And she was recently on the Nikki and Brie show. Of course, are the artists formerly known as the Bella Twins. And she's explained where she has been. And where she's been has been pretty interesting. She's just been talking about all that her body went through from pregnancy, and she's dealing with an issue called drop foot. And so it's an injury that she has from labor and delivery, which this is just so incredible. She has a herniated disc in her back, which pushes on a nerve that's connected to her right foot. And that all came from delivering the baby, which is wild. So 60 hours of labor, all of those things. But this drop foot situation is what is causing her not to be in the ring, which to me just reminds me of how miraculous it is for women to be able to carry and then ultimately deliver babies. And in the sport of wrestling, to be able to get back into a ring, it's legendary. So shout out to Carmella, and certainly we wish her a speedy recovery. Whether or not she ever gets back in the ring, I just want her to be healthy and to enjoy this beautiful baby that she has. So shout out to Carmella. From there to an injury that's actually happening, and that injury belongs to Ivar, which is a wild one. If you guys watched NXT, Ivar has been kind of pulling double duty, doing some things on Raw, doing some things on NXT, and he's been involved in the NXT North American title picture. Well, if you saw the end of NXT, you saw him laid out. And, he, along with a few others, were laid out, and we were starting to wonder what in the world is going on. Who is the mysterious person or people doing these attacks? We would find out that Gallus did the attack, but a little more scary is the fact that Ivar is actually now out of action indefinitely, which seems insane. But he went on to the Twitter machine recently, earlier today, actually, to talk about it. And he was saying that he does not have any idea when he will be back. He is injured. He is hurt. And it's kind of crazy given the run he had been on. Of course, his partner is out on injury right now as well. He was pulled out of the speed tournament as well because of the injury. So your thoughts on Ivar and the injury bug that seems to be going all around the WWE right now?
Yeah, it's quite the effort. Sorry. Go ahead, boss.
No, you're good. I mean, it's one of those things where you have to appreciate wrestlers, especially the ones in WWE and also the indies, if they have that type of schedule, like to put your body through this day in, day out, year in, year out. Your body wasn't meant for all of that.
No.
So, and WWE does do a good job as far as helping the athletes stay as healthy as possible. But I always remember, like, X-Pac always said, like, your body has a certain amount of bumps, and you just don't know what that number is until that number is there. So hopefully everything is well. However, just like he was saying, like he hasn't spoken to, I think in his post, because I was pulling it up, he hasn't from the doctor. So he said, yes, I'm injured. Yes, it's very serious. No, I have not had surgery. So we really don't know like exactly what everything is, and neither does he at the moment. So, you know, we have a lot of reports kind of jumping to these conclusions. The first thing is we hope that he's okay, safe, his body's okay. The wrestling part, like, we need to deal with that later. So it's kind of almost like on the same level as Big E. Like, I know we all want to see him back in the ring, but like, for him to be walking, talking, living his best life and hosting now and being in love and all this, that could have definitely been a totally different scenario. So yeah, I think we should, you know, sometimes let these wrestlers breathe, because they're also people and they're dealing with this. Because you go from being active to something being taken away, and then you also don't know if your career is going to be there on the other end. So, you know, on a mental health level, you know, we definitely need to start like respecting these athletes. Just give them a little bit of time for them to like figure this out.
Yeah, it's a terrible epidemic, honestly, with these wrestlers lately and all these injuries. Like even down to the list that they revealed last week of all the superstars in the WWE roster that are injured. It's just honestly sad to see. But a lot of us, and sometimes I get wrapped up in wanting to see them do more and do other things and things like that. I'm as much of the same way as a fan as any, but we have to also remember that, like you said, they're people too, and they go through things mentally, physically, on going out on the schedules that they have as opposed to the schedules that we have. In a lot of cases, they do it constantly, and we could sit here and complain about a day or two, but these athletes, they go through it 24/7, 365 a year, and it's just it takes a toll. It's unfortunate because it's always the ones that you're really excited for and really excited to see, because they were going to take him in a different direction in NXT, which would have really made his story interesting as far as his character. But got to let these guys get healthy, and got to let them be able to smell their flowers as well, because it could turn into a situation where it is like Big E, or where it is like when Edge wasn't sure if he would ever be coming back, even though he did. We never thought we'd see that day, but it's like you gotta count your blessings while they're still there.
Yeah. Anything on that, Councilman?
Yeah, I am really liking that. No, I agree.
I am too.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with TK and Honey. Like, and I just hope with WWE, maybe this, and I know this is probably going to be difficult to say because, of course, that's when the money comes involved, but maybe taking some time to kind of slow down so many appearances. Like, again, these cats are on the road for 323 days out of the year. And then even just like, this is perfect example for a person like Ivar. Like, you're already a big man. So with that, your stint with your body is already a little bit lower than the average person. And then too, just like you said, from the mental side though, trying to keep up because you want to develop into this new person. You want to test this out. And especially for somebody like himself, who, in my opinion, that tag team has gone through the ringer from being this like dominant tag team in New Japan, but then not being able to come under that same moniker because War Raiders can't be this, can't call them that, can't call them this, need to change this up, need to go into this Viking thing, need to switch into this. So they hadn't really found that step and then just completely ignoring the tag team division entirely. So now they're just sitting here floating around, his own partner going out. So now it's like, okay, I got to be out here even further. It's like these cats need a break. These people need a break. They need to be able to take time off. So hopefully they can maybe slow down live events, like not have as many live events that's needed if you're going to really be having them have such a high demand to be on like television spots and everything. Maybe just slowing some of those lives down to give these cats a break.
Yeah, it is one of those things, and it does make you ask kind of the age-old question, does pro wrestling need to be a seasonal sport? Do we need an off-season? Or at this point, with the rosters being as large as they are, have certain rosters on for certain seasons and others off, just to kind of be able to rotate things. I don't know, but you're right. The physical toll that being in the ring and training, not even to mention the travel aspect. I mean, just think about, for most people, it's an event when you prepare to travel anywhere for vacation, for business. It's an event. All you have to do to pack and, their comfort level on the plane and the hotel. But literally imagine, because I've seen it happen, where these wrestlers get finished with wrestling that night. Then they have to get into a car and drive to the next town, and then try to get some sleep when they check into the hotel at 2 or 3 a.m., to get up to train, to turn around and be at the building at the right time. Because remember, well, I can't say remember because most don't know, call times, which most don't even think about, for these it's not, okay, well, my match, I'm on the card at 8 o'clock, so I can show up at 7:30. No. Your call time's likely noon, to be there, to go over whatever the plan is, all of those things. So you are constantly on the go and you rarely get an opportunity to rest. And if you're working multiple TV shows like Raw and NXT, then you're going, from one town all the way down to Orlando, and it could be cross country in those kinds of spaces. So there's a lot of wear and tear. And if you're flying cross country and you are a large man, they don't have super large seats on planes.
Man, those seats got smaller. I swear.
They did.
They did.
Because they don't feel the same.
No,
they did. They got smaller because they were trying to accommodate and fit more people on so they can make more money. So again, this is all the more reason why I'm very sensitive about how we treat these wrestlers who are literally putting their lives on the line for our entertainment. So we should really honor what they're doing. So speedy recovery to Ivar. Now, this right here.
Oh man. I watched it
So I want to go back to Monday because we really didn't even get a chance to talk about this Wednesday. These QR codes that have been popping up randomly during Raw, NXT, or SmackDown. During the last QR code that was on for Monday night, if you went to the link, it took you literally to 20 separate pictures. And my silly self clicked through all of them because I wanted to see if I could understand what was happening. And the one thing I knew for sure was that last picture with that floppy disk, which said 5/16/24, 4 p.m., had everybody saw the witch on the right-hand side and just thought it was a cross on the left. But I immediately saw Twitch. And I was like, oh, my God, something's going down on Twitch on Thursday. And they did not let us down. Uncle Howdy took over the WWE Twitch feed for nearly an hour yesterday. And it was incredible. I don't know who watched the whole 55 minutes. I got very, very close. But yeah, it was
guilty.
Woo,
it was wild.
So let me ask the question. What was your takeaway from what you saw on that Twitch feed yesterday? This was just holy cow.
Ooh, y'all have to fill me in because
TK.
I don't even know where to begin, girl. I don't know
That's I wouldn't watch that in the dark.
Video.
Yeah, and I would not watch it.
You're not watching in the dark.
Don't watch it in the dark.
Bless,
I'm not watching
bless your heart. Bless
and
your
I'm not
heart.
watching it then. That's all the reason that I don't need to watch it. So I'll take the clip notes from y'all. And yeah.
It was just a lot of it was all right. So it took a while for it even to begin. Like in the beginning, we were just seeing a chair, a bookshelf, and you know, there was just a lot of glitching going on, and a lot of the QR codes that have popped up in weeks past also resurfaced onto this video. So I think and it's gonna pretty much get me into my takeaway, but we saw the therapist, the therapist that the Fiend was speaking to years back has resurfaced, and she's, you know, asking questions like, good to see you, it's been a long time, is there anything you like to discuss? And all you hear is just somebody scribbling and handing her notes, and it's just these eerie quotes that she's repeating, and she's like, would you like to talk more about that? It's like a movie, like an hour-long movie. You should still watch it. Don't watch it in the dark, but you should still watch it. My takeaway from that whole thing is, especially when the QR codes kept popping up, because I kept catching them, and I was just like, oh, wait a minute, this is stuff I've already seen. I'm like, okay, they're telling us something. What they're telling us is something's happening, and it's right in front of our faces, and we just don't even know it's happening yet. We don't. There's something going on or something that's going to happen. It started with Kane, apparently.
It did,
and saying welcome to Monday Night Raw. I don't know if that was a hint or a clue or something, but we're gonna have to watch on Monday, and I'm already looking forward to Monday, because now you don't know what's gonna pop up, who's gonna pop up when, and it was just a lot of information to take in, like, after all of that, because all the pictures that Professor was talking about was pretty much all the notes that were being handed to the therapist, and in the end of the video, you see that there's a news article that the therapist went missing.
I saw that. I was like, what the hell?
So it's a lot. It's a lot, and it was very entertaining. I loved all this kind of stuff. I've just been like itching and just waiting and foaming at the mouth for the arrival of what is to come from Uncle Howdy and what they got up their sleeves this time around.
Councilman, let me ask you this, because this is interesting to me. I had a major question. You know, when at the end of the Bray Wyatt documentary, when it was kind of hinted at the idea that, okay, Uncle Howdy could be kind of continuing this situation, there was a part of me that wondered, can this be carried out without Bray Wyatt here? After watching this Twitch stream yesterday, what are your thoughts? Do you think that this whole concept can effectively be carried out without Bray Wyatt?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I had even had a name for them, the Children of Wyatt. Like, not the Wyatt Six anymore, the Children of Wyatt, because Wyatt's gone, but his belief is not. So now you have all of the story creativity you need to make a cult built around everything he talks about. And something Honey brought up too that I also caught, where it centers around Kane. We might I know we'll get something Monday, but we might also get something Sunday, because Sunday is May 19th.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh wow.
Well,
taking it back.
So there's that, but there's also the belief that footage with Kane was from the actual episode where the Wyatt family debuted. So there's so many pieces here to try to make sense of. And who was the figure at the end?
Yeah, because it wasn't Howdy. And that was something.
Howdy.
That was something that I think got confirmed too. It's not, because I kept thinking maybe it was Howdy without the hat. It's something else, which means there's another figure lurking behind this. So not just the characters that we've seen in the Funhouse, there's something else that's lurking behind all of this as well. And it's just like it's so many theories you could go off with that it's just like, how big will you make this? Because like Honey said, like that whole hour of them talking, and then what I had even caught too was she talking to Bray, or was this through the eyes of us as the buzzards seeing what this therapist was talking about?
Yes. Love that. Love that. And
Very interesting.
I was gonna add to what I was gonna say, but there's a point where I thought it was intentional that that pretty much our eyes as the viewers is the therapist, because she's asking him all these questions, and the notes that he's passing her is like, if you don't see it already, you're not looking, and it's like, okay. And I also thought of what that Howdy figure, or what that figure was at the end. I don't know. I definitely think it's definitely somebody that's going to be coming, that is a part of this Wyatt group. But I also think that it would be interesting, as far as to answer your question, Professor, as far as Bray Wyatt's legacy being carried on through this story, and can it be executed? I think it absolutely can, because you'll always have this version of Bray now, even though he is physically gone, he's still an entity, especially with how impactful Jey Uso's entrance was, and we'll get into that a little bit later about what JoJo said and everything. But what if they use Wyatt as an entity, like kind of like how, I don't know, say Charlie's Angels, like where he's the voice of Charlie, and he's you know what I'm saying, like you don't see him, you only hear him, and he's there. What I'm saying?
Yeah. And just to piggyback on that with two things, his documentary was called Becoming Immortal.
Yes,
and the fact that they said this was going to be the first time you've heard footage and audio of him that you've never heard before. Who's to say they release all of it? So then, to Honey's point, there might be several hours of audio that we have not heard from Bray.
Yeah.
And that could be released.
And this is what I love about our sport. Like, our sport gets to be all of these things. It gets to be full contact technical stuff. It gets to be pure comedy. It gets to be just over the top. It gets to be this otherworldly kind of stuff. It gets to be a mystery that we try to solve. And what's so amazing about this is this story has been told in QR codes. It's not been told in promos. It's not been told in in-ring activity. This story has been told while all of these other things with the bloodline and it's all, and Jeffrey, you're right. It's like we're witnessing a movie right now. And so shout out to WWE, who, they continue to lead the way in how wrestling can be presented. Now, I've got to shout out TNA, because I think TNA were the ones to present this movie concept to us with these cinematic kinds of films. Shout out Matt Hardy and the Hardy Compound. And those kinds of things started to open up the eyes of the wrestling fan and wrestling promotions to go, let's try some different things. Let's go in some different places. And so to now see WWE utilize social media and utilize the same Twitch that at one time they punished wrestlers for, right? Like, this
the
is what
irony in it all.
The irony is so
deeper rabbit hole. I love
now,
it.
I do have a question though.
Yes.
With all this happening, how does it roll out first? Who does this? I'm still gonna call them the children of Wyatt. Who are they going after first?
I would assume that it would be the ones on top, but then again, I don't think that gold is what they're after. Chaos is what they're after. So they're gonna get at everybody. Especially if Nikki Cross is a part of this group and everything like that, because there's rumors of that being a possibility as well, due to some of the hints that we've received. You want to talk about sanity meets the Wyatt family on a whole nother level, and it's going to be so good. I just how they roll it out first. I don't know. I don't know who we would have to start with, but we would just have to see how it goes, like or what they film or who they target. Like I wouldn't even know who to pick first. They would probably just want to get at everything.
I wouldn't say the top people. I'd almost go back to who he had his last couple of matches with, or kind of go from the beginning. Whereas like, because he took a lot of L's, that was like a big thing too. It's like great concept, and you get to this final match between him and whoever, and he most of the time he ended up losing, and you're like, I feel like he should have won this. So almost kind of going back into the people he's had matches with, who are obviously still with the company, and strategically targeting them, and they have no idea, like they're not even putting the two together because they're already matches, so many years matches removed from that. So that would be a good concept, and still keeping the top guys safe. I feel that if the bloodline was going to come to an end, which obviously is not anytime soon, that would be a good way to take down the bloodline. But
being that Roman and Wyatt have had a lot of history,
right?
Or even Randy Orton. I don't know anybody that's wronged Wyatt back then. Like I'm thinking about like revenge. I'm thinking about like Uncle Howdy in the form of vengeance.
Pay for their sins.
Yeah,
pay for their sins.
So. Yeah. It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be crazy, and I think the other thing to consider is they are likely going to want to make sure that they don't revisit the mistakes that they made. So I think back to the infamous Hell in a Cell match that The Fiend had with Seth Rollins. That was the only cage match in history to end in disqualification. Like, what are we doing? And so, it does make you ask the question, how will they present this? Because when we had all of the QR codes the last time and Bray showed up, a lot of the battle was Bray in his own mind, in this universe of his own. And we really only got one match from that, and that being, the lights out match with LA Knight, which it's hard to believe that was Royal Rumble 23. Like,
was that Royal Rumble or SummerSlam?
That was the Royal Rumble 2023.
Was it? Wow.
Yeah. And this is what's crazy. It was Royal Rumble 2023. That was the last match that we really got from Bray, because Bray then, he was in February supposed to be setting up ultimately for Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. He ultimately got COVID, got pulled off the card. And unfortunately, we did not see him back in the ring. So part of me, and I know Dylan was one who was saying, like, I need to see somebody next month. I feel like one of the reasons for this, I don't know that it's a delay. They never told us when the first person would be out, but I think they're taking their time with it to ensure that it is presented properly.
Yeah.
I think they have so much pressure on them with Bray being gone and wanting to honor his memory and his concept well. They have to be able to roll this out and allow it to make sense, because the challenge here is, do these characters ever battle for championships? So that's one of those questions that has to be kind of answered, because you look at an Undertaker, for instance, who was really kind of your first for real otherworldly kind of character that they had in WWE. He was able to become a world champion, which ended up being good for him. But he ultimately rose to be above titles. Like, he was one of those guys that didn't need a championship to be him. So that's going to be the question, to figure out how they make all of this work in this environment. And that's a question. Do they have human forms? And so I don't know,
I think one good approach would probably be taking kind of like X-Men, like Howdy is Apocalypse, and these, or treat them like the Four Horsemen. So like Nikki Cross is a great example. For her to come back with a different type of personality, just a little slight tweak, but her in-ring performance is completely different, sharper, edgier. Like, it shows like joining, and I'm still going to call them, like, I like the Wyatt Six, but I'm still calling them the Children of Wyatt. joining, you see specific things that have changed about them. Like even like another one that I think is Joe Gacy, because we have not seen him in a while. But him coming back, him having a little bit more of that craziness being honed in like a weapon under Uncle Howdy's guidance. So it's like something just changes just slightly.
And what I think is interesting is, you know, and I know some of the rumors that are out there, but just looking at some of the clues that were given, you know, the fact that these people were forgotten about, you know, these people were left out there, you know, but now they're free. And so you start thinking, right. So who's been left on the cutting room floor? You know, those are the kinds of questions that we've got to be able to answer. And it has potential to get very, very interesting. So this is what all the rumors are saying. But you know, Eric Young right now is over in TNA having a good time. So I don't know if we'll see him come over. But these are some interesting, you know, possibilities that are out there. And
I can see Braun doing.
Oh yeah, I could see Braun doing it very much so in dedication to Bray, you know, because that's going to be the other thing.
Yeah, and he growing that hair back. I see. So I'm like
miserable hair.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling
it. No, it ain't looking right.
You see the hair, TK? Did you see the hair?
I have, but the way you said it, it was just
not feeling it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So all of this talk of delay leads us to this whole WrestleMania 40 behind the curtain thing. You know, so we actually have some degree of answer in terms of why has this taken so long? There are a lot of people who believed at some point that it was The Rock holding it hostage. Well, Brian Gerwitz had an opportunity to talk to the Ringer's Masked Man show, and he went on to say that this delay has nothing to do with The Rock. He says that he thinks there was an error in terms of promoting it so soon because it wasn't ready to come out. So the doc, in his mind, has gone from 11 minutes to 45 minutes and now to over an hour. So clearly there's been a lot that's been added to this. And he says at some point it will come out sooner than later. But according to Brian Gerwitz, really the issue is it was promoted too soon, which when I think about that, going from 11 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour, the biggest WrestleMania of all time, I can't think that it would just be relegated to 11 minutes. What do you guys make of the explanation from Brian Gerwitz?
You basically took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, it's a documentary. And for folks who don't know, putting a doc together is not an easy feat because it's not like, and the movie's not easy either, but with the movie, you have the script there and you already know what the outline is for the movie. And it's just a matter of, you know, if it's different locations, you know, putting that together and then you putting it together like a jigsaw puzzle as far as the editor. When you're doing a doc, you're having several people, you have to comb through what they say and you almost have to weave a story together within the doc. That is far more, like that's way harder. Because you're essentially writing the script with what you have. And so most likely you had so much that you went to the 45, went to the hour, but then also they probably had way more than that because I'm sure it wasn't just those 2 days, it was the lead up. So you're not talking about a minimum of 7 days because we also don't know if they included Vegas or Royal Rumble, or they started at the beginning of the year, or they started when The Rock was with Pat Menefee in Colorado last year. So we don't know when they started filming or putting all this together. But whoever had, because I'm in this process right now, whoever had on a so much smaller scale, whoever had the duty of looking over all of this content and then taking it and then trying to create a story, because you can't slap this together.
No.
Like we're for the folks who are watching, we have videos from our WrestleMania stories from the host of Women's Wrestling Talk that are still being edited together now. and we're nowhere on the level of WWE because you're still trying to figure out how to make it look good. So it's just not, you know, and then if it's not a good product, then you're going to be like, oh, well, that was underwhelming. Like WWE, and I think all wrestling platforms, TNA, when I was in Vegas for TNA, I know that too. Everybody's taken their level of editing and the way things look to almost like that movie level quality that we're getting spoiled. So anything that's less than that, we're going to have a problem. So just relax, take a breather. You're still getting wrestling, 40 hours a week. Take a chill pill. It's going to come out, and then you can indulge in all of that. Like, you know, it's not, it's okay, folks. It's quite all right.
Yeah, I piggyback off of that with TK, and then not to mention too, getting and shooting the doc, getting the schedules for people that may be giving testimonials to this.
Right.
So like the Rock is shooting right now. So if Rock needs to talk about something, you have to go around his schedule. And they've already had reports about him showing up late to sets and stuff like that. So we don't know if it's technically true or not. Of course, it's still he say, she say. But you have those things. You have a whole bunch of other different parts of, like TK said, trying to weave a story together and taking over what is potentially thousands of hours of footage, condensing it into 11 minutes of a story, and then, bless you, then getting sent back and then being like, okay, we like it, but now we need you to extend it to 45 minutes. And it's like, okay, I got to go look through and comb through all of this other footage to try to now add 45 minutes to now tell the story y'all want me to go. Well, no, let's go back to 35. Let's try to cut this out. Well, no, now TK wants this added. TKO was saying like, hey, we want this put in, and now we're going to get testimonial from Ric Flair, who was there, and he's talking about how this came to be back in 2014 to connect to this story. It's just like, as an editor, as a producer, and a director, it is a lot. And I think to your point, Professor, I think they just jumped the gun on the release date. And to all of y'all points, just, hey, all this wrestling we get in a week, just be patient.
Calm down. And you know they do good docs anyway. It's gonna be an awesome doc, and you can't. And there's no way that you're, like you said, Professor. There's no way, because that was the first thing I thought. I'm like, it went from 11 minutes to 55. Yeah, of course it should have. It should have been that way the whole time, because WrestleMania 40 was one of the biggest WrestleManias ever. We're still talking about it. We're about. We're mid-May. We're still talking about it.
We talked about this when we did the WrestleMania post show. I was with Evan in the press booth, and he I don't think he put out this video. I need to remind him. He recorded the amount of time that The Rock and Roman took just to walk out. Combined it. That's more than 11 minutes. Just those two walkouts, not Cody's, not like their walkouts are 11 minutes.
Right.
That's 2 nights. That's 2 nights. Not to mention the whole end game, WWE end game at night too, and having to talk to all of them about like, yo, how did this come together? How'd y'all set this up? Even like you said, you behind the scenes, the setup of the stage, the design of that, bringing in the musical acts. Like, there's so much to be told behind the scenes, to where it's just like, yo, just give these people a second. Give them a second.
Go watch A&E and finish watching your DVRs from A&E.
Yeah.
Because there's no way everybody could consume all of that wrestling all at once, unless you got really nothing to do with your life. You might have to figure that out. But yeah, like just stick with the A&E docs, and find anything else wrestling related that you could find on social platforms, because it's all here. If you have access to it all, you have the world at your fingertips every day. So don't complain about this WrestleMania documentary being late. And you know what? If they are working around the Rock schedule, guess what? He's earned that right. Okay.
Yep,
he has.
You're not the final boss. You're not telling the final boss nothing.
The final boss.
The final boss.
That's how you got to. I think people forget 2 things. One of them is that I remember being shocked about 10 years ago when WWE had said they were going to put out kind of the road to the world title that Daniel Bryan had. And they did it in a couple of days, which was amazing. But Like they didn't have nearly as much to add 10 years ago. Plus, they were looking for new content to put on the WWE network. We're 10 years later. I think we also forget, too, that almost every look back at a WrestleMania in terms of behind the scenes literally comes almost a year later.
Yeah.
So the idea that we're even talking about this documentary roughly 6 weeks out from WrestleMania is monumental, given that, you know, it's 2 nights of Mania, it's all of the changes that happened, you know, all of the things. And so I think we just need to give it some time. It's going to be great. You know, that's just kind of the way this kind of thing goes. And if you're really interested in wrestling and all that the WWE can do, just consider this. If you like this, you'll like the fall and you'll like the winter, because we were worried in the fall about where would SmackDown go, where would NXT go, where would, you know, Raw go in terms of the nights, since most of them are getting onto different networks. Well, I've got good news for you. All nights are remaining the same. Okay, so Monday Night Raw will remain Monday night when it goes to Netflix. NXT will remain on Tuesday night when it goes to the CW. SmackDown will remain Fridays when it goes to USA. All of these things are going to happen as they are, so you don't have to worry about your schedule changing or anything. So there you are for some degree of consistency in your world. Remember, again, SmackDown will move to USA in September, or excuse me, October rather, September, October, one of those dates, when their contract ends with Fox. Of course, Raw will stay on USA through the end of the year. NXT moves to the CW this fall. So this should be lots of fun. Now, let's quickly, because I can't believe how quickly time has moved, let's talk a little bit about what happened on AEW, because when we talk about things that don't make sense, which makes less sense, the idea that WWE would have a documentary out about WrestleMania in 5 days, or the fact that one of your primary wrestlers gets hit by a bus and shows up on television 3 weeks later. Oh, yeah, that guy, Darby Allin. Yeah. Darby Allin somehow is back in AEW. So how did we get here? Well, it started really last weekend, where at New Japan's Resurgence show, Eddie Kingston's in a match against Gabe Kidd. There are no ropes to the ring. He takes this suplex out to the outside. His leg hits the guardrail in an extremely nasty way. And ultimately, we don't have Eddie Kingston anymore in the Crazy Anarchy match at the arena that's supposed to happen next week, because his leg is broken. So our thoughts and prayers are going out to Eddie Kingston right now, because he's in a wheelchair. Eddie Kingston is out. So who would be the new fourth man? Remember, they just named the fourth man last week. They've got another fourth man. And it's this guy who cheats death, the guy who was supposed to be on Mount Everest, but broke his foot and then broke his nose and seemingly his face by getting hit by a bus. But if you get hit by a bus and then show up to the Broadway show just a couple of hours later, certainly you can show up to Anarchy at the Arena. What's happening here? Is this a wise move for Darby Allin to even be allowed in this matchup?
I just wanted to say something about the graphic, about the picture that just posted up. It looked like one of those things that start in the beginning of the movie. Kind of reminds me of Daredevil. Like, you're probably wondering how I got here. Like,
yes.
Like, and you wouldn't believe the story that it leads up to. You know,
yes.
You wouldn't think that the ending of the story would be him arriving at AEW. Now, when I initially, when I first saw that in the chat, I was just like, wait a minute. Why would he expect to be 100%? He just got hit by a bus. He just broke his foot. Why would anybody expect him to be at 100%? I didn't know that he showed up. Until I read it, and I was just like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. I don't know. I'm gonna try to say this as lightly as possible without sounding like too bossy or motherly, but I just can't help it. Like, dude, stay at home. Stay at home. Darby, stay at home. Please stay at home. There's nothing to benefit from going to wrestle with injury on top of injury on top of injury. What more do you want? What more do you need? What do you have? Like, I'm starting to think that this kid, like, you know, like you say, cheats death. I'm starting to think he has a freaking death wish at this point. It's just like, there's just chaos everywhere. It ensues everywhere he goes. He gets hurt in the worst amount of ways and puts himself through the craziest amount of pain and does the craziest stunts. And it's just like, what are you getting at? What are you doing? You know, we want a healthy you. We don't want an unhealthy you. But that's all I'm going to say about it. Stay at home, Darby. Stay at home.
Councilman.
As my mom used to tell me when I used to be acting a little too reckless, excuse my French, sit your ass down somewhere. And
okay.
That's what Darby Allin need to do. Sit your ass down somewhere. I get it. Mankind is one of your favorite wrestlers. I get it. You want moments, but sir, stop before you can't do it no more. And but that also too goes back to what we were talking about Wednesday with AEW and not knowing how to book, because you set yourself up because he's a fan favorite now, and you haven't developed enough fan favorites. And it was one of the biggest things I said that somebody got very pissed off about when I said this about AEW. So I'm also saying it here. AEW is filled with way too many. If you're going to compare them to WWE, you have way too many NXT leveled stars that you have not worked up to be main roster ready. And because you don't do it, that's why you have to push so hard on a Darby Allin, on the Young Bucks, on a Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho should not still be getting you your highest ratings when he comes out. It should be some of these young cats, but you have not got them up there. Just think about it. Like if you were really to send majority of these guys to WWE, where are they landing? If I say Orange Cassidy, where's Orange Cassidy going first?
He's going to NXT.
If you get the only few you have maybe is Swerve, even some Joe, but even like Hangman at best Intercontinental run.
Yeah.
You have not developed anybody to be a main roster star, and you're focusing on only the small group, which is the same thing. You're just going to wear them out until they can't go anymore.
Yeah. I just want to remind people, because as I just thought about this makes this even more egregious. Today is what? May the 17th, right? It was the top of March 3rd, 4th, 5th, somewhere in there, that the Revolution pay-per-view happened, where Darby Allin and Sting, fought the Young Bucks, and Darby Allin jumped from the top of a ladder. Top of March, where he jumped from the top of a ladder through a plate of glass. From there, he left because, hey, I'm getting ready to climb Mount Everest. Breaks his foot. Okay? Then turns around and gets hit by a bus a couple of weeks ago. Guys, this has only been barely 2 months that all of these things have happened. This isn't over 6 months. This isn't a year. It's 2 months.
Right. But here's the thing. If you watch Darby Allin's wrestling stuff before he got to WWE, this is not new. Not saying it's an excuse for him. This is his life. Like, you know how somebody you have that one friend that for some reason everything they had the most craziest stories. Like, yeah, this happened and you're looking at them like this is not normal, but to them it's normal. This is his life, and I'm pretty sure from seeing Darby and the fake TK when I went to, I think it was either Seattle or I don't know, one of the pay-per-views, and seeing how they interacted. It seems like the fake TK definitely wants his wrestlers to be safe, but if his wrestler is willing to come in and there's nothing that he can do to tell him like no, aside from maybe borrowing him, I'm not giving an excuse, but I'm saying like that's what it seems like. That's what it seems like it happened. Not saying it's right, but it just seems like if somebody's like, no, I want to come in, I'm okay, I want to come in, I want to come in, I want to come in, like that's what seems like happened, because there's no way, same thing, like somebody, like, let's say a fake person who's working for WWT gets hit by a bus and they're like, no, I want to do the show. Absolutely not. Like, one, you're in bandages. Two, like, you know, it's like it doesn't.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna sit in your hospital bed all hung up, like,
yeah,
welcome
like,
to WWT Live.
But here's the thing. This is the difference between why we call one the real TK and one not. Because the real TK just said, I would say, no, you cannot do this.
No.
And unless they turn around and, you know, mysteriously find the link or something like that, they're not going to be on the show. My issue is the other TK is the only one that has the power to say no. These guys can't just run in the ring after he says don't go in there. They can't say I'm gonna insert myself in the match even though you told me not to. So to me, it doesn't matter how much Darby says I'm okay. Wisdom says your body isn't meant to go through a plate of glass, get your foot broken as you're preparing to climb Mount Everest, get hit by a bus in New York City, and then come in the ring and wrestle. Like, no. And to me, and this is the other sad part. If your roster isn't deep enough for you to go grab somebody, we just talked about somebody on Wednesday who's been sitting in catering with nothing to do. You couldn't bring Ricky Starks into this moment. I mean, to me, these are the things that aren't making sense. And my concern, and I say this as respectfully as I can, I would have liked to have thought that the Attitude Era would have taught us something. What happened with Owen Hart and all of these crazy moments of us trying to cheat death, and you end up with people literally dying on live television. Like, that's not cool. And so we don't need those kinds of moments. And I just can't believe that AEW didn't have one other wrestler that could step in and fill this moment. Not one. So you got to go get the guy who got hit by a bus 2 weeks ago? A whole bus, not a minivan.
But that's
bus. A New York City bus.
New York City bus, yeah. But that's the prison that the fake TK has built himself in. One, you don't come from this industry. You are a businessman. You don't know nothing about this industry. As of right now, you're the new Ted Turner. You don't know nothing about this. You just decided like, hey, these people want to do this. I got the money. Let's go. You don't know what it's like to take these slams. You don't know what it's like to see these people in the ring, to see these people on the road 24/7. So the first thing you did was you made it about them. It's like, no, we're going to make sure we make it kind of loose where we don't make y'all feel so pinned down like WWE is. But that's the thing you got to understand. These wrestlers are sometimes like children. You have to wrangle them in because, I was making jokes about it Wednesday, but there are folks that would want to die in the ring and would think that would be great for their character. Yes. And it comes it comes to your point as to where it's like, yo, fake TK, stop acting smooth in the shorts and start talking to these people and telling them like, hey, I get you want to be out there. Listen, we got plans for you to set up, but I need you at 100%. Hey, Jericho, I know you want to be on TV like this, but hey, I need you back here helping this new class get to where they need to be. I don't need y'all out here 24/7. Hey, Young Bucks, I need you to really make these tag team divisions be the best tag team division I have ever seen in the world today. Not me just saying, oh yeah, I think that's a great idea for y'all to just go do what you want. No. Even though people hated Vince and how he acted backstage, there was two sides to the coin to where he made stuff work and he made a lot of horrible decisions, but there was still him being that to I don't want to say crack the whip, especially for us, but to be able to draw that line.
Okay.
Say, hey, this is where it needs to be. This is what needs to be done. This is how this needs to work. And if fake TK don't do that, it's just gonna be you're gonna run out of toys eventually, and then you're gonna lose all your people to either TNA or WWE.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
I mean,
It's
he's gonna learn. And I know sometimes I teeter between. It's still a new company compared to WWE. I understand that. But businesses, because I think maybe that's what he's dealing with. He's really he's struggling with it, treating it as if like an indie promotion, but it's a business. Because you want, even if the money is not the thing for you, like say you have enough money to cover to be in the red for AEW's existence, you still want it to be on television. You still want it because all the things that, because you notice that he doesn't really, as far as I know, he doesn't really compare himself to WWE like he used to. He's kind of pulled that back a little bit. And I'm sure he still desires those things. And in order to get to those things, you have to run it like a business. It's like no different than, a wrestler who wants to be a really great wrestler. They have to put in certain elements in those building blocks to become that great wrestler. You can't just say, today I'm going to train. I probably won't train for another 2 weeks, but I'll do this promo stuff. Like it doesn't work like that. So I think he's really trying to balance that out. And it's really hard because I think somebody said in the chat, it feels like almost like that parent who wants to be friends with their child. And it's like, you can't. There has to be a clear difference. And this is all speculation. We don't know what's going on with that. However, I think we did talk about a couple of weeks ago that there is a documentary or some type of NFL documentary. So maybe that will shed some light on the wrestling side of things. Because I'm dying to know, because I pitched that documentary. So I'm dying to know what can we get in his head, because what we see versus what we see beyond what AEW, like what happens in the office when the shows are not on, that's the part I want to see. Like what's actually happening there.
And how much time is actually being devoted to AEW with the other responsibilities that he has, which I think is also very, very interesting. Speaking of that, before we get out of here, we've been talking about Double or Nothing. Of course, that's the Anarchy in the Arena event that Darby Allin will be a part of. That's a part of Double or Nothing, which is happening next weekend. And there have been a lot of questions. What will be the main event? Given, of course, the world title situation, Mercedes Moné's debut, all of the like. Well, here's how you answer that. A triple main event. Why not? Interesting. So it will feature the TBS champion, Willow Nightingale, against Mercedes Moné, the Anarchy in the Arena match, Team Elite versus Team AEW, and now the World Championship, Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. Guys, can we have a triple main event? Does this make sense or what?
I mean, so
I felt that sigh.
so let me know, because I'm not necessarily deeply in all the things of wrestling. So if it's a triple main event, there's still one match that's going to be the last match. So isn't that technically the main event?
Right.
It all depends. I mean, we've seen double main events where
and that was dumb. And that was dumb.
Yeah, even the double main events, it's still like, okay, I understand. When they were trying to do the double main events, it was kind of almost like when they had the women's main event and they were flipping between the two, the men and the women. And I kind of understand it. I don't necessarily agree with it. It's like it's either the main event or it's not. To me, the main event is the last event because it's the main event. So if it's a triple main event, like, are we gonna have it on like 3? And I'm sure I'm being facetious now, but are we gonna have it like 3 different rings, like, or are we gonna have one, then the other, and then the other, which is gonna be the last main event? Unless the main event has to do with money, which is boxing, which obviously Ced's not here to debate me because he always wants to debate me on boxing. And let's have to do with the main event, which has to do with boxing, and the person who's in the main event typically gets the most amount of money. But most of these people are on contract, so I don't know if they get a bonus for being part of the main event. That's, to me, that would be,
might. I don't know.
That would be the caveat. It's like, oh, you're on the main event because it's attached to more money. And if I was Mercedes, like, yeah, pull back the bank truck and like give me some more money. But you know, I don't understand. I don't get it.
I mean, first off, ain't none of these matches strong enough to be a main event right now anyway. So
wow.
I still think you needed more time for Strickland and the father to get their stuff going. Willow and Monet is going to be a great match. If anything, I would have opened Double or Nothing with them two. Start off the show on a high level with Willow and Monet. And then Anarchy in the Arena could be left last if you are going to make that and work that into a long type of stretch. Let that be the last match. Because again, like, I don't see if Christian beats Swerve for this title, just throw the whole AEW away. Just throw it all away. So that's why I'm like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the last match, but even too, Anarchy in the Arena, it's okay. We go get something good, I guess. Super kicks are gonna be everywhere. Someone's gonna get put in a hold, I'm sure. A barbed wire is gonna get called out. So, but you just like, are any of y'all really excited outside of the for me? The one I'm excited about is Willow and Monet, just to see, you know, Mercedes back in the ring. Are y'all really excited for any of these three matches?
Y'all see my face?
I mean, I want to see Willow. I want to see Willow and Mercedes. But it's also it's also like that Issa Rae quote. Like, I'm voting for everybody black. I'm rooting for everyone black. Like, I just want to see women, right? I want to see women's matches. I am a fan of Mercedes. I am definitely a fan of Willow, especially like, you know, following her, like seeing her in the indie scene where she is now. But I am not. If I were just gonna do the objective, like, take away my favoritism, I definitely agree with you. I'm just, you know, happy to see two black women main eventing for AEW. Like,
which will be a first,
right? So it's like, to me, again, very biased. Make that the main event. To me, that's the main event. Like,
I was just gonna say. I think opposite will. I mean, not. It would be a good opener, but I think it'd probably make an even better ending if done right.
So for me, I don't. This is again another issue with, I think, not being able to balance all of the stories that are being told, because I honestly don't think Mercedes and Willow, and I know this is probably wrong to say on this platform, but based on the way that the story has been told, I don't think Mercedes and Willow should be a main event. I think people are making it a main event because it's Mercedes.
Right.
And strictly because it's Mercedes and her debut. But, you know, quite frankly, the lead up to it, Willow's been carrying the lead up to it, not Mercedes. And I think what happened Wednesday night at their contract signing was one of the best moments I've seen for Willow ever. You know, that whole line about, you know, the last time we wrestled, I left with a title. I walked out with a title and you didn't walk out. Brilliant.
Ate that.
She ate that up and then power bombed her through a table. I think it's great. But I don't think, and this is a strong take. We're live too. But I don't feel like Mercedes' presentation in AEW has been main event worthy.
You're not wrong.
I don't. The only thing that has the only thing that has happened that has been main event worthy for Mercedes was Big Business.
Yes.
It was Big Business. They presented her like a star. Every week after that, it was not. You know, they had her doing interviews at the top of the ramp. They had her doing commentary one week. They had her getting jumped backstage another week, right? Like, they have not presented her in the same way that they presented other main event signees like Okada and Ospreay. Right. So to me, you know, it doesn't make sense. You've done more with Ospreay than you've done with Monet. So then how does Mercedes end up in the main event? You know? And so that is not, please don't misquote me. That is not me not liking Black women or women's wrestling or any of that. It's from the way the story has been told on AEW. That's what I'm looking at.
The booking.
It is that. It is that. And
yeah.
so, you know, I think they're in a bit of a pickle because this is one of the things that AEW has done regularly, which is they don't do good lead up to the pay-per-view until the week of the pay-per-view.
Right.
And by then, it's too late. People are already making. So then you add. So here's my problem. If you have 3 main events, how many additional matches are we getting? We know we always end up with like 12 matches on an AEW pay-per-view, and it goes for 5 hours. And like we know all of those things. It is unfortunate. And I'm also going to say this too about this whole anarchy in the arena. The anarchy in the arena situation worked best during the pandemic because it was a creative concept where you could really utilize all of that building and all of that real estate that you had. And it was good every now and then. It is not a specialty match I want to see. It is not. If you're there live, it's brutal because you're not going to be able to see all of it because they're going to be all over the arena. You know, you don't have the kind of space that you had in Jacksonville because you were able to utilize the whole field next door, all of those things. You can't do that with this. Y'all aren't going to fight on the strip. You know, like you're not going to do that kind of thing. That would be creative. I don't know how they do that, but you know, this is going to be their challenge. I think taking things that worked in the pandemic and trying to make them work now is very difficult. I don't like Sud likes a stadium stampede. I can't stand it. I don't like it because I don't think they found ways to update it. It's been done the same way every year. And it's not like a War Games kind of thing where it's War Games, it's the spectacle in and of itself, you know. This is just and the problem is they have no disqualification matches fairly regularly. They have, you know, Falls Count Anywhere. They just had a parking lot match a couple of weeks ago. So like when you're doing these things so close, it makes Anarchy in the Arena not feel special. It just doesn't. So, and then the other problem they have is this is the first pay-per-view for Swerve as a world champion. If you don't put him up last, what are you saying about his title reign?
Right.
You know? So you have all of these things that you have to figure out how to juggle. And so I don't envy them. I just wish that they would commit to stories for longer than the week before the pay-per-view, because this stuff hasn't started cooking until this week, and the pay-per-view's next week.
And I think AEW's biggest issue is they have not found that sweet spot between sports entertainment and professional wrestling. And that's the problem. So even how they just set this up, you're setting it up as of we know how Mercedes gets down in the ring. We know how Willow gets down in the ring. So we know it's going to come to a battle of whoever has that last breath of air, that's who's going to win it. And you lean a little too much on that and you skip out the sports entertainment part. Because just like you said, even like, again, too, going back to Anarchy in the Arena, none of you have done better than Bruiser Brody did it when he used to face people in Puerto Rico.
Right.
You have yet to top that. So if you're not finna, like you said, Professor, if you're not finna update that, if you're not finna take it to where it's like that, because again, you can get stage people to be in the arena at that part that start running off with them just swinging a bat with a barbed wire around it, but you haven't done that. And like you said, like there's no structure with the sports entertainment side to get us behind the match. It's you're focusing on, let's have these two people here come together, and then we're going to give them a match, but we'll throw in, because they got to talk and kind of build it up, we'll throw something in with that. And one thing I really wish they'd stop trying to make groups to have matches. Stop trying to pair like these people that's in a trio, then these people come together, and now it's a 5 group, and then in a week we don't even see them together anymore.
Don't even get me started.
Because to your point, the Team AEW, which just came together, of FTR, which I didn't know they were fighting for the honor of AEW. And then all of a sudden you randomly have Eddie Kingston, like, oh, so he's fighting for the honor of AEW now? Like
and then what does this lead to? Like if they win, if AEW wins, does that make FTR the number one contenders for the tag title?
Right.
Or
What's
does
the
it
end
remove
result?
the Young Bucks from being EVPs? Like, what is that?
What's the end
These are the story keys that have not been told, which make it very hard to connect to. Oh, and by the way, they're going to ask you to pay $50 for every pay-per-view until they decide on a streaming service. So it's like, wait, you're going to be the most expensive pay-per-view in wrestling, but you don't have a story to connect me to it. So, who's taking Eddie's place? Darby Allin. That's great. That's great. I felt like Paul Heyman. Darby Allin. All right. So we got to get out of here, guys. We almost hit everything. That's not so bad.
Yeah.
Do we have that? Do we have the Asuka video? That'd be like the best way to end this show. If we don't have it, it's all good.
We can pull it up.
Okay, so we'll say our goodbyes and let Asuka end us out here, because I think Asuka is a great way to end us out and just remind us of the beauty of pro wrestling. Councilman, how can the people find you? Which said, yes, we have another governmental official here. You missed his coronation. It's wonderful.
Yes, Councilman Farrow is here. I want to thank all my constituents for joining us today. But you can find me, Will Farrow, PHARAOH, across all platforms. Y'all can join me tomorrow live on my Twitch, YouTube, as well as Arcade Tokens, YouTube as well, for Straight Up a Comic Book. We're talking X-Men. Gonna talk a lot of stuff about it, and one of my favorite things everybody hates, why Spider-Man 98 should not get a reboot, and they just showed why. Come find out tomorrow while we're talking about it. But yes, Will Ferrell everywhere.
Lovely. Honey.
Everybody can find me here with the crew, WWT Live, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Don't forget to join me right here on this same platform at 8 o'clock for our Honey Smackdown watch along this evening. We're going to get into the King of the Ring tournament, the Queen of the Ring tournament, and a contract signing that I really don't care about, but I'm going to have to suck it up anyway. But yeah, nonetheless, TikTok Wrestling with Honey, Instagram Wrestling with Honey, Facebook Wrestling W Honey, and Wrestling with Honey podcast, YouTube. Like and subscribe.
Excellent. You guys can find me, of course, at Bounderfied across all of the platforms. You can check out my commentary work with Southern Honor and IWE. We just dropped 2 new shows, so check that out on IWTV. You can check out my commentary work also with the Nightmare Factory on their YouTube channel. Some really cool things happening there, including Student Showcase number 13. You can check out my work with All Caribbean Wrestling, all sorts of great things happening with All Caribbean Wrestling. So check that out on their YouTube page as well. Also, today's a very, very special day. It is the 4-year anniversary of the passing of Shad Gaspard. So certainly our thoughts and prayers are with his family. And with that said, we did have the Shad Gaspard Memorial Cup Tournament, which you can check out right now on Vice TV. Wow. On Fight TV, Fight TV, Triller TV. I had the honor and privilege of doing commentary for that. So you guys can check that out on Fight TV as well. And just a very interesting thing. Something tells me we might have yet another village popping up, because there is going to be a new debut tonight on Level Up. A young lady named Layla Diggs, who I am very familiar with. I'm close with her family and the like, and so she will be making her debut on Level Up tonight following SmackDown. So you guys can check that out. There have already been people talking about her, and I don't know, there might be yet another government official popping up to be part of Diggsville. I don't know, but check her out. It'll be pretty amazing tonight. Again, that's following SmackDown on Peacock, and we turn things over, of course, into the very capable hands of the boss lady.
Wow. First off, I want to say officially on the show, welcome, Will. You fit in quickly.
Absolutely.
You're now a councilman, and you're referring to the fake TK. You're speaking the WWT lingo. It's very It's very, I don't know whether to be scared or to be very excited because we do things different here. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody for coming on, all our hosts and stuff like that. All the things. We'll get to all that another time. But you can follow me everywhere at TK Trinidad. You can follow Women's Wrestling Talk on all social media platforms at WWTalkpod, wwtalkpod.com. And yes, we are going to finish off with, yes, we are growing. The goals are coming. It must be, all the, the councilmen and the mayor, they're doing
all of these elected officials. I'm telling you,
all the elected officials doing their work in their places, I suppose. But we'll finish up with Asuka. But with that being said, definitely stay tuned for our SmackDown watch along coming up at 5. So thanks, guys, for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, number 1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Oh wow! Oh
wow!
Wait, what happened?
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkPod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at wwtalkpod.com.